Hello, everyone.
Howdy.
Welcome back. Episode 22. We're going strong. I felt really good about last episode, and I regret that I didn't say that. Last episode, I feel like was one of our best. Not to say that this one won't be good, but
And it's all downhill from here. We're
it's
gonna
got
flatten
it.
the curve.
Yeah. It got like 20 downloads the first day. I was very surprised.
There you
I was
go.
doing pretty
Where do
good.
we watch?
We watched. Oh man.
Honey Boy.
Oh, Honey Boy. One of the best episodes. I got no idea what we
And I
watched.
instantly erased it from my mind right after.
Yeah, this is the Brother Sister Show. Welcome back. If this is your first time, my name is Anthony,
I'm Livia.
and we are siblings. We talk about movies. Um, that's pretty much all you gotta know. Um, thank you guys. I just want to say before we get to our little catch up, we hit as the time of recording, we're at 537 downloads. Just overall, all of our episodes downloads, which is not bad. Um, and we have 425 streams on Spotify, which is pretty cool.
I always say this to you, but I'm so surprised people listen on Spotify.
What do you mean?
I use Apple Podcasts. I think I've used Spotify once, but I just don't really care for the interface.
I just like it because it's just a smooth transition from my phone to
Oh
my
no, I get
laptop.
it. Yeah.
But
No, that's
yeah,
true.
follow us on Spotify. Give us a rating on was it Apple Podcasts?
Can you not rate on Spotify?
I don't think so. But you can follow us for sure. I know that much. So go ahead and do that. Can't rate on Spotify, but you
No.
can on Apple Podcasts. You should guys you
You
can
should,
test it if
guys.
you want.
You
You
should,
could test
guys.
guys. Come on, test it on our podcast. See if you can give a 5-star rating. See how many 5-star ratings you can give. See how many people you can get to give 5-star ratings.
You can also write a little thing. Like, you don't have to give just stars. You can write something, and you can put whatever you want. If you want to put something for us to read, I'll try to check it, but no promises.
Yeah. Tell us all the things Livia said that is wrong. Guarantee there's a lot.
Yeah, you can fact check us. Ooh, that'd be fun.
Ooh.
Fact check.
Actually, Honey Boy didn't come out 2019. Something real
Oh
dumb.
God.
There's probably like so many things we've said wrong, just like blatantly.
I hope the review says like, "Hey, this is like a good podcast, but I'm really worried about the girl. She can't really say numbers."
If I give her a number above 1,000, guarantee she can't say it.
More than 4 digits, and she's fucked. Oh God! All right.
um, but yeah, this is us. Oh my God, this is us.
Oh, I miss
Pour,
it.
pour one out. But yeah, so normally before we talk about the movie for this episode, which is Hereditary, um, we talk about our lives. So what's up? What's new since last week?
Um, I explored a new area of my apartment. Okay. I've been doing puzzles. What have I been doing? I've been writing, reading a book, trying not to go insane, talking to my
Yeah.
cat a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have really in-depth conversations. Today he was napping like on my lap, and I wanted to pet him while I was working. And I guess I pet him, or I think he was just like so deep in sleep that he like freaked out. He thought like somebody was attacking him or something because he like jumped up and he scratched the shit out of my shoulder.
Oh no.
That's fun. I mean, it's fine. It was like one scratch, but it really hurts. But yeah, we're having a great time. We're both very stressed.
You and
Yeah.
Ari?
Yeah. I think he's stressed.
Really?
He's been really weird. He's been like watching like the walls and stuff. Like last night, I it was probably my fault because when we were watching Hereditary, I forgot how creepy the music was.
Oh
And
my
he just,
gosh.
yeah, I don't think he liked it. And every time the girl would do that little clicking sound, he like would like run around because he was like really like, he would like look around like I did it. And then he would start running
Whoa.
around. But I think he's just on edge, just like everybody. He reads the room and he can feel that I'm stressed. But
Yeah.
we're chugging along. We're fine. Just having
Dang.
a week. But yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been okay. I'm on an upswing. I feel like I said that last time. I'm like, I'm doing better.
I think that's exactly what you said. That's funny.
Yeah. You gotta just keep saying it until it happens.
Take it to make it, yeah.
But yeah, I have been watching a lot of good stuff though. A lot of new stuff. For one, I watched this one movie that is on demand now. I think you can get it on like, I think I got it on Amazon. I'm sure it's available on demand wherever, but it's called Emma, and it's that new like period piece about like, when they're in those like fancy dresses and stuff, that kind of movie. It's actually based on the book Emma by Jane Austen, and I love a good like British people period piece. Those are my those are like probably one of my comfort genres. I just love a good like posh accent and really
Mm.
curly fake hair, a corset, all that jazz. But this one was really like the writing was pretty modern. Like it was still in the like dialect that they use, but it was really funny, and the way that they would like do certain scenes was like pretty modern. I really liked all the actors. But yeah, I don't know. It was just a cute movie. It wasn't like revolutionary or anything. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it didn't do much, but
It was just like Emma.
well, it's Emma period. That's like it has a period in the title.
Oh, that's the thing.
Yeah, and like I saw a tweet the other day that somebody, or not the other day, but when it was coming out, that the press release that they sent out for the movie was like, you have to, when you review this movie, it has to have the period in it. Journalists were like, okay, like chill out a little bit. Um, but yeah, and then I watched a lot of stuff, but the one that I could remember was a movie on Netflix. It's like an older movie called Mystic River, and it was
Mm.
super bleak. I don't know. I didn't really it was like I didn't know how to feel about it. Like I didn't really like the characters. The writing was kind of eh. And then at the very end it said directed by Clint Eastwood, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Bye.
That's really funny.
But it had like Sean Penn and the mom was, oh, actually Laura Linney was in it, which perfectly um transitions to the thing I've been watching recently, which is Ozark. I have it paused right now on my TV. And I'm finally on the third season.
Ooh. I
Have you finished?
No, I'm still on like the third episode of the first season.
Oh, well, okay, I won't say anything. The only thing I'll say, because I was gonna text Dad, but I was like, no, let me wait till I'm finished with it. But he'll listen to this, and the only thing I'll say is Marty's a bitch. That's all I'll say. I hate him.
That's Jason Bateman's character?
Yeah,
Mm.
that doesn't spoil anything.
Nah. I mean,
He's pretty hateable.
yeah, from what I've seen, yeah.
But yeah, I am happy to report that everybody was right. It does get better. The second season, I think Emily said the first and second season were boring. I agree, the first one was pretty boring. The second one gets a lot better. And then this third one, I'm on the third episode, but it's already getting like so much more intense. And
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that's what I've been predominantly watching. I'm really looking forward to, I think I'll probably talk about it next episode, but I don't know if you saw the trailer for Middleditch and Schwartz.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for that.
I think it
We've
comes
been
out
doing,
Tuesday.
yeah, the 21st, right?
Yeah.
I'm so excited for that. Me and my friends have been doing like Netflix parties, and we're gonna do that
I'm
for
so
that. And it's not even like just one though; it's three.
yeah.
It's so exciting because I mean we saw them live
Yeah, we did.
around a year ago, right? Pretty much, or maybe two. Was
A
it?
little over a year ago. No,
Yeah,
it was
it
last
was
year.
around my birthday.
No, it was in January.
No, it wasn't. Was
Yes, it
it?
was. Yes, it was.
Oh.
I remember because I bought the tickets and I was like, I bought them before I moved to Austin. And
Mm,
then remember I moved and I was like, oh, I live in Austin now, so we can just stay the night, or you can just stay the night.
yeah,
It was right before I moved.
gotcha. Okay.
I think maybe you're thinking of TMG because that was within the same year, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw a lot of good
I know, and I was
shows.
excited this year to see stuff, but whatever. I saw a lot of good like live shows my first year I was here. A lot of, like I've seen already
We
all
saw
of
John
my favorite
Mulaney.
bands. Oh yeah, but that was a long time ago.
That was a very long time ago. That was in San Antonio, I think.
Yeah, I still lived in San Antonio too.
But still, I was just, like the all those three are like in the same vein of memory for me. So it's like
Yeah,
a good time.
true. All right, what have you been doing?
Well, honestly, it's hard to keep track of what I've been watching because, man, I was working on this project and I was like, mom and dad, I got a new chair, by the way, and it's fantastic. So I've been actually wanting to do work. Uh, so I came on this project and it was so lame how long it took me to do the last part of it. And I was like, Mom, Dad, I'm gonna show you what I've been working on for the past 8 hours, and you're gonna say that is the lamest thing ever. It was legit displaying on my screen the letters ATM, and that took 8 hours because I had to do it like pixel by pixel. It was like
Why?
because
Yeah, that's
we're
how I had to go, or are you just like not good at your job? No, I'm kidding.
my job.
Oh wait, your school.
School is my job, okay?
There you go.
No, no, in the project like assignment, my professor was like, "Yeah, you have to do this pixel by pixel because the program that we're using, it just there's no way to draw it any other way." And I was just, ugh, it was really dumb, but I had fun sitting on my chair doing it. It's a
God.
beautiful chair. I love it.
Mom and Dad are gonna come downstairs and you're like sleeping in it.
Yeah, that's what I was joking with.
When you go to for like class, do you do like Zoom classes?
Well, so some of my classes have done asynchronous classes to where they just post videos and you just watch it wherever, whatever.
Oh yeah,
Only one of mine have been doing it synchronously where I have a Zoom meeting. It's just every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, which isn't bad.
Has anything happened?
No, nothing crazy.
Have you
Nothing.
seen those videos of stuff like where I saw one that like I can't even watch anymore. It's like so cringy.
Oh,
I would rather watch like the ending of Hereditary like 10 times in a row than I would watch that just one like minute video of that girl who goes to the restroom and they can
yeah.
see her. Oh my God. That
I
and then but there's like funnier ones where there's this one where the professor she uses some filter that turns her into a potato and she can't take
oh
it off.
yeah.
She can't figure out how to undo it.
Seen that. I've seen another funny one is where one of the students is just like taking a fat hit from a bong, and then the
Oh,
professor's like, "Oh
are
no,
you
don't!
kidding me?
Oh no, don't do that."
Oh, and then I saw one too where this guy, I think he was joking maybe, but he was like yelling at his mom. He was like, "Mom, I'm on a call."
Ugh,
Shut
I
up.
just
I think it was a prank because then the professor was like laughing, like she didn't want to say anything.
uh, that's funny. No, nothing like that. Nothing crazy. Just honestly kind of boring. It's hard to pay attention to when you have Animal Crossing in front of my face.
Oh, fuck off. I'm so upset that I can't have one.
Uh,
It's supposed
well,
to
that's kind of a nice.
restock.
Oh, really?
Yes.
One.
I don't know. Sebastian's he's my plug.
How?
I don't know. He knows more about them, and he was like, when I talked to him the other day, he was like, so I think GameStop is gonna restock them.
You're all whispering.
He's like looking back and forth. So I heard.
Um, the only thing I really remember watching is Dave, Little Dickie's Little Dickie's sh show on Hulu. It's
Is it
only
good?
like 7 or 8 episodes, and I was watching it while I was playing Animal Crossing. Anyway, it's honestly it's kind of funny.
That's what I've heard from several people, and I'm very surprised. I did not think it would be.
Me too, but I was just like, I don't know, kind of interested. I'm also not going to pay 100% of my attention. It was a really good show to just put on while doing something, honestly.
Mm.
Some parts, though, I had to pay attention because I wanted to. You know, it wasn't just, I don't know, pretty good. Pretty good show. But when it ended, I was very confused because it didn't feel like a season finale at all. I mean, there's that. Uh, Man, I don't think I did. I watched anything. It's been a. Oh no, I watched The Social Network. Watched The Social Network. Again, because it's on Netflix, and that movie I
It's
appreciate so much
perfect.
more. Yeah, it's really good,
I
and I
have
understood a
seen
lot
that
more.
movie so many times. I see it so many times that now when I watch it, I'll like quote it. Like I'll like say the lines to myself.
Yeah.
But I haven't done it in a while. Like the one that sticks to me is when he says, oh, God damn, I already forgot. When he says something about like it's not like you or it wouldn't be like you didn't invent Facebook or oh, fuck, I'm already messing it up. Never mind.
If
I
you
guess I
could
need
have
to watch it
invented
now.
Facebook, then you
No,
you would have invented
it
Facebook.
was after they got rid of Eduardo and he was like, my name's not gonna be on the masthead. It'll be like I'm not a part of Facebook. And he said, it won't be like you're not part of Facebook. You're not a part of Facebook or something.
Oh, yeah. Sean Parker's character says, or Justin Timberlake says that. Yeah.
Man, he needs to stop acting. No,
In
I'm
that,
kidding. No, I'm kidding.
he was a good character in that one.
But
He
he was
fucked
good
up.
in that, but maybe I need to like look up his filmography because I don't other than like SNL, I don't remember anything else that he's done that is that good. And part of me is like wondering if he was so good in that movie because he actually is an asshole, you
Mm,
know? Part of me, I mean, this is conspiracy corner, but part of me thinks he actually is like really mean.
no,
But who knows? He's got us all fooled.
I
You
don't
know
know.
what they do, those white men that can dance, they're dangerous.
Uh, Gonna move
Okay,
past that.
what are we talking about?
I don't know. I was just trying to say how I understand social network a little bit more because I'm like getting into my higher levels computer science classes. The only
Oh,
part I didn't
so
understand
you understand the like. Oh, okay. I thought you
the
meant the movie.
that too because I saw it when I was younger, so I didn't really understand what was happening. But the only thing I didn't understand was when he was in his OS class and then he like leaves because someone that was a dumb part in that movie when that lady passes. This is right after he creates Face Mash, his first website
Yeah.
or his one of his websites, and then a lady passes back a note to him and it says "you dick" on it, and then he leaves class because of it.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not really consistent with his character because he's always, or maybe that's the thing is that he acts like he doesn't care. He'll do whatever. He do whatever he has to do. But at the end of the day, like he was hurt so much by one person passing him a note and calling him a dick,
Yeah,
and like he only created Facebook to like spite that girl. You know, like he does a lot of things not because like it's really analytical, like people try to make engineers seem, and he did it really in a really emotional
Yeah,
way.
I guess.
But yeah,
But
that
it's all
scene is kind of weird. Jesse Eisenberg though, I fucking love him.
yeah, very good in Social Network. As Lex Luthor, not so much. Not so
I
much.
mean, he tried. I think it's one of those cases where he had an idea of the character and the director had a different one, but they didn't like say it to each other.
Yeah,
And it just felt really disconnected. I didn't hate what he did. I hated that movie. And I feel like a guy like him that's really good at playing assholes, like I don't think as a cinematic villain like that, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't
yeah.
think he was bad in it. I think he just made bad choices in regards to the movie
Uh,
as a whole. But I mean, once you see that movie, it's kind of hard to blame him because once you see that movie and the story they chose to tell, it is really confusing.
that's true.
So, like,
I
how
don't.
are you going to build a really solid character off of something that's confusing? And he's a writer, so like I've listened to a lot of interviews of him recently, and he only really writes and directs and like produces stuff. He's like mainly a writer for plays, which makes a lot of sense when you look at that performance because it is a very like um it's like a really dramatic as in like a play kind of role. And as a
Yeah,
writer, if you can't make sense of the material you're given, then it's kind of hard. For one, it's kind of hard to say no to a superhero movie or especially a Superman movie and to play Luke's Lex Luthor. It's hard to say no to that. But like, I don't know, I just feel like it's the hand he was dealt was really hard to play with, if that makes sense.
I guess. I don't know.
I will defend him
I
until I
think
die.
I kind of want to mention this, but this will go
What?
down another rabbit hole. Do you remember? Have you seen that interview of him where I think it was for Now You See Me, and he's like almost, you know what I'm talking about? Where he's like
Yeah.
almost berating the lady.
Yeah.
He's like, because she's like, "Can you say my name?" And he's like, "Why would I say your name?" Or something like that. Something
She
real
was, but
weird.
she also was really weird in it.
Yeah, it
I
was
think she was
just a
trying to go for
very
I think she was trying to match his energy of being sarcastic and like because if you listen to interviews with him, he's very sarcastic and he's very dry. And she was trying to do that, but like not to blame her, but I feel like it was her fault. No, I'm kidding. Not trying to blame her, but like I think she was trying to match that energy and it just didn't work.
yeah.
Or it did, and to him it was fine, but it's hard to do that when the person is not in on it and when you're recording it. It's like hard for that to come across in a video. But it is really awkward to watch. I think it was just like
Very weird. But back on topic, I think that's pretty much it.
sorry,
From
I
what
think
I've,
I'm on a tangent kind of day.
that's just one of those days. I think that's it. I can't really think of anything.
Well,
I
you don't have
didn't
to
worry.
because we have an interview to throw to.
Yes, I forgot about that. Here we have for this special episode, we have Joe Pelaez. He's a good friend of me and Kayla. He went to Kayla's high school. Um, he's a listener. He listens to our podcast. Why not have a listener? Here's an interview with him. We'll throw it to that now. All right, here we are. We're with Joe. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
Number 3, third guest.
Good to
That's
be number
good.
3 then.
Heck yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna just start by asking, how are you doing, just overall?
Good. I mean, this social distancing thing, I feel like it's not very new for me. I feel like I was always in my room playing video games all day long before that, and the only time I ever left my house was to go to work, or if someone was like, "Hey, you want to come over?" and I'd be like, "Yeah, sure," but now it's just work and video games.
And now you're being congratulated for it, which
Yes.
is nice, I guess. Um,
So,
well, I guess you kind of already talked about this, but what do you miss that is not like isolation related? What do you miss about your life pre-isolation?
Um, pre-isolation. I'd probably say going to the movies or going out to eat. I guess having the ability to go to a restaurant.
I know, it seems like such a luxury now.
Yeah,
I just want to go drive by one.
There's that
very
that meme where like looking at like through the window, through the cage. Like,
Or that one from The Office where Jim's like looking through the blinds.
yeah.
God, what I would give to just be in a theater with people behind me just talking so obnoxiously. I would be like totally fine with it. I would join in on the conversation.
I feel like I always got lucky not getting talkative people in theaters.
Same. I usually would go during the day though, like around noonish on a Sunday. That's like the perfect time to go.
Yeah. Honestly, it depends on the movie though.
Yeah, that's true. I normally went to midnight releases too.
Oh God, I can't remember the last time I did one of those. Maybe Batman?
Wow. So like
the last one.
The Dark Knight Rises, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I went to that one too.
Yeah, a lot of people did. I mean, I feel like the only ones that you actually do that for and with a huge group is like superhero ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could say that for like when Endgame came out because like the whole month before, me and my friends started from the very first one and all the way up to the Infinity War, and then I'd watched we finished Infinity War like Wednesday night, and then I watched Endgame Thursday night.
Did you do in order of release or in order of the storyline?
I don't remember. I think it might have been in chronological order. So starting with the first Captain America. I think that's the first one it starts with.
Because I know there's lists out there, right, that tell you which ones like that you can tell the whole story through. I mean, I guess maybe I could do that now, but I'm just really not that interested. And speaking of theaters, do you remember the last movie that you saw in theaters?
Please don't say 1917.
I was gonna say there's gonna be there's a theme.
Let me check my Apple Wallet because I think
Does nobody go to the movies? I mean, I know that like January is really slow, but there was some.
It was A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Ah.
The Mr. Rogers movie. I think that was the last movie I saw in theaters.
What'd you think?
It was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I mean, I felt like there were some times where I started to tear up, but I didn't know Mr. Rogers like that. But it was, a sad movie, good movie.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen it. Is it worth it if I don't really know him?
I didn't really know him. I thought it was still good to see it. I mean, I like Tom Hanks, so.
That's true. Well, the next one. Well, I guess let me skip around a little bit. So, what have you? I'm assuming after that you've seen other stuff. So, what have you been watching?
Like movie wise?
Anything, yeah.
I guess I try and pick apart movies every once in a while. I mean, I did watch Parasite and Uncut Gems with Jewel. I had not seen them in theater. I don't know why I didn't go and see them in theater because I did like both movies. I mean, I really liked Parasite, and then both of us were kind of mixed on Uncut Gems. But yeah, those were the two biggest movies I think I watched. Onward was just on Disney Plus, and I liked that one. And yeah.
What was your hesitation about Uncut Gems?
At the end of it, I swear to you, both me and Jewel just like looked at each other and we were just like, it was okay. I just like after all of it, I was just like, wow, that movie just had a lot of yelling.
Yeah. I've just never heard of somebody that went to go see it and had a lukewarm reaction to it. So that's why I'm surprised. It's always like that was like, even if they didn't say if it was good, they were like, that was a fucking movie.
That was something.
Yeah. It was like predictable or anything like that, but I feel like it might have been overhyped because I mean, like I like Adam Sandler, And my friend Enrique absolutely loves him, loves every single movie, and just would not stop talking about Uncut Gems and how revolutionary it was. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, it was a good movie. I mean, very different from his other stuff too. So
For sure.
Yeah, that's true. But I think the thing that people really love about it is because it's like when you have a lovable, and I think Adam Sandler's really lovable in general. Like when you have a lovable character or like actor like that, and you get another chance to like see him in a different light, and he's still that good. And he hasn't done something like this since Punch Drunk Love, and so I feel like him doing this was a really big risk, and it paid off really well. So I see what you mean, but I loved it.
yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people like
They root for him.
like a cash grab. Well, I mean, like in all his movies, like they think a lot of his movies are like cash grab movies. But I mean, I like most of his movies. I mean, of course, I mean like there's like Jack and Jill, but I mean, I mean,
take.
I like Grown Ups. I like Billy Madison. I mean, all his classic stuff, really.
Yeah, it is interesting though that like his career is very interesting to me because I don't understand his choices because I actually just saw one of his movies that's on Netflix called I think it's called The Week Of. It's like about him. His daughter is getting married to Chris Rock's son.
Yeah.
And it was like when I was watching that movie, I could see there's some movies where you watch them and you're like, I see how they thought this was a good idea or they thought it could be funny, but I just feel like maybe his sense of humor and his sense of what people like now is still really dated. Like I think he's still thinking of like the early 2000s, and the reason that people loved rooting for him so much in Uncut Gems is because he's finally doing something good, but that something good was something that he didn't make. So I feel like he should just be doing stuff that he's not like making. I don't know. He's a very interesting person to me.
I mean, I really like him because I mean he just makes movies. I mean, he's had a movie come out like every year for so long. You know, whether it's bad or good. I mean, the guy just loves doing that, and you know, and he loves bringing his friends on and all those people, those recurring actors.
But I think that's a good like case study. Is the fact that he keeps making movies with his friends, is that what's like hindering him? But I don't know. So moving on from something that's not Uncut Gems, which is really stressful, the last question that we have is what your comfort movie is, or movies or TV shows or whatever brings you comfort during this time, because I feel like a lot of people want really like warm, fuzzy, comforting things to watch right now.
I guess I'll just go. My favorite movie is Perks of Being a Wallflower, and so that just got added onto Netflix. So I feel like if you've never seen that movie or if you've never read the book, then you know this is the time to sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
And TV show, I mean, I guess the TV show I'm rewatching right now is Bob's Burgers. I started that from season 1 and about halfway done with it. So I mean, it gets rough and then it gets good again, but you know.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Comfort things.
It's a good show. I recommend it. I haven't. How many seasons are on that show?
8, I think.
Yeah, I only remember watching at least 3 or 4. And then I just
before I thought it. Oh, there are actually 10 seasons. Never mind.
Oh,
wow. Dang. Yeah, I had no idea.
are they still making them? Like, or do they have like new seasons?
It might be. It started in 2011, so I guess about a season a year. So yeah, I assume it's still going on. They're on the season.
Well, that's all I have. Anthony, do you have anything?
Well, this is kind of like back to the beginning of our conversation, but because you work at HEB, right? Right,
Yeah,
Joe?
I do.
So how is that going?
I really don't see a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, I hear a lot of crazy stuff, but because I don't really I'm not a cashier or a bagger or a stalker. I'm not really out on the floor. I work in the deli. So most of the time, if I'm at the deli, because there's where you slice the meat and cheeses, but we also do the rotisserie chickens. So that's normally where I'm at. I'm in the kitchen where the restaurant is, and I cook all the rotisserie chickens, popcorn chicken, chicken legs, and everything like that. And it's really funny because there's a giant cooler where where all the raw chickens go, and you're supposed to put on the skewers. And so I'm in my room. I'm in that little cooler for about like an hour and a half, like doing like these huge racks and putting like all these skewered chickens. But that's when I try and listen to this podcast because I'm probably so it's like me, Mark, and Livia, like right there.
Right by the chickens.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Right where we want to be.
So you do like the Flamin' Birds stuff?
No, so I work
because our family loves those.
I don't know,
I
understand
was
why
great.
they like them.
I work at the HEB on 3009, so right off 35, and so that one has a restaurant, but it is the 3009 restaurant. There's no Flaming Birds or anything like that. Kitty Hawk one has the Flaming Birds one.
Yeah. We absolutely love it. We get it too much.
Way too much. All the
Well,
time.
So it's not super stressful. That's good.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, what is because most of our listeners, I think, are in Texas. So what is something, even though you're not, like you said, you're not in the roles that are more people facing, what is something that you hear when you are around people that work there that you want to like tell people to stop doing, or kind of like, like I guess a piece of advice on when to go, or what they should be doing or what they should not be doing? Like, what's one thing you would say?
I'd say two big things. I'd say don't wear gloves, because I mean I see people walking in with gloves and masks. I think masks are fine, but gloves, I mean, they don't realize how much they're touching. And then also I've been seeing videos of where they leave just latex gloves in the parking lots and stuff like that. They're properly disposing of them. And then, if you don't need to go to HEB, don't go. There are people, the people that are working there, you are putting them at risk if you're going just to look around or something like that. And if you're going in a big group of people, I think the president of HEB said, like, if you're going to go, please only send one member of your family, to lessen the exposure of what could be happening or could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess just be like aware that HEB has people there too, and they have to be there, and they have to be there for us. So be conscious of that. Well, I think that's all we have for the beginning. Thank you for your insight. I didn't know you worked at HEB. Thank you for continuing to provide us the chickens. We need them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. I guess we'll just throw it back to me and Anthony catching up.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and that was Joe. We'll get back to him after we talk about Hereditary and see what he has to say about it. So.
I'm very excited. Okay. So Hereditary came out in 2018. It's written and directed by Ari Aster. Principal cast is Toni Collette, Millie Shapiro, and Gabriel Byrne. It's about a grieving family that is haunted by a tragic and disturbing occurrences. Do you like the way I formatted the numbers?
Yeah, I was just about to say they only have 2 to 3 digits. Interesting.
Yep. And the budget was estimated at $10 million. Opening weekend, it made about $13.5 million. In the U.S., it grossed about $44 million, and worldwide, it grossed about $80 million.
Wow.
And for reception, it got a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb, an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, and an 87% on Metacritic, which is disgusting.
Devastating.
Okay. So my notes, I went in a different direction for this. I kind of just I liked what I did the first time with our critically acclaimed episode of Honey Boy.
Yeah.
I just did like more overall notes, especially because I could have just done this episode without notes. So I just wanted to give like ideas and stuff. And there's a lot of, and from what I'm assuming, like I don't know if people have seen this before, but I'm assuming if you're going to watch this and you're going to listen, you're probably confused as to what happened. So I would like to give a little bit of context and kind of not explain the ending, but give more of like what you might have missed and also what some stuff means. What kind of notes did you take?
Mine were pretty much notes that I normally take, like as the movie's coming or going. I took notes. I mean, I don't have that many. I have 3, 6. I have 9 notes exactly, so I can go through mine real fast, pump them out if you want.
We can. Mine is still in order, but not really. Well, yeah. Okay, you can go. And I'll just talk as you go.
This is one of my favorite openings of all time. The whole
the obituary?
No,
I love to read.
that, and then when it pans to the model home, the miniature home.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then it goes in, and then it's the actual house. I don't know, that to me, when I saw it, I was like that was from the get-go. I was like, this is really cool. Like, I really like this movie. I don't know how they did it. I really tried to watch it. I don't know how they did it. How they managed to go from the miniature house to his actual room it was very seamless.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
I'm assuming that they had a green screen on that part of the miniature, and the whole time the image that we're watching is the actual room.
That's my safe guess. But it was amazing. I really was one of my favorite openings of all time. But I'd love to have, whenever they go to the funeral, I'd love to have the same picture as the grandma, but for my
sitting.
funeral, the same pose. Yeah.
Hands on your lap.
Yeah. Oh, creepy.
It's very creepy. See, okay, and that's like one of the funny parts of this movie is, at least for me, like maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but I feel like that is one of the things where he's like, or I would like to think the director has the sense of humor to be like, okay, I want her to sit like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because it's really funny to him. Maybe not, but I feel like if I was to make a movie, there's no way I can be completely serious through it because that's just how I am. Like, it's hard for me to be really serious. So I'd be like, so the people that are in the cult, they're just gonna be standing naked. You know, like he could have just had them standing, but he's like, no, let's let them be naked. But
yeah. After that, we go back to the house, and the house is so beautiful. I really love that house, and I'd live there even if everything happened as it did, even if the body was up there, even if the burned dad's there, I'd still live there.
I'd be like, you want me to clean it up?
Yeah.
Knock off 10 and I'll do it.
I also like how Ari Aster really shows different, like, how people react to tragic things in their life, because she's because Annie's like, should I be sad? Like, like she wasn't sad because, I mean, she wasn't that close to her mom towards the end. I mean, she said that, but I don't know, I really like that just whole commentary, I guess. And then a little side note. A lot
too.
Yeah, exactly. Which is made it striking, is that I believe the Charlie, she's an e-girl now.
I saw that.
And
hey, you do what you gotta do.
It's just, if you just next to each other, Hereditary, and then her now is just very, very, I don't know. It's weird, but not because it's just the juxtaposition of their two personalities is different. It's interesting. And then, whenever Annie goes and tries to comfort Charlie, and she is asking, like, how do you feel about grandma being dead, pretty much. She's like, who will take care of me now? And she's like,
well, I'm here, bitch. Yeah, but
And
what about
then,
when you die?
yeah, and then she said that, and then she was like, well, your dad or Peter will. And I was like, Peter will not take care of you. Will not.
Peter was doomed the soon he came out of your womb, lady.
Yeah. And then the music throughout the movie, so perfect in the way it creates that unsettling feeling where it's just that uh it's just a constant presence, um almost as if Payman is there with you, you know, as
Well, and
he
that's
was
the
present throughout the
direction.
movie.
I read that the direction that Ari gave him was that he wanted it to feel evil.
It very much was like that. The low, almost guttural, constant, like staccato
Yeah.
notes was perfect. And it created that sense of uneasy, um, that sense of evilness, even when just normal things were happening, even when uh, Peter was in school, you know.
Yeah.
It
That it's
was
always
fantastic.
there.
Yeah.
The
Uh,
composer, by the way, is named Colin Stenson.
Props to
Stetson.
him. What else has he worked on? Do you know? Do you have it
Oh
up?
no, I can look it up real quick.
And then I'll just talk about whenever Peter is smoking in his room and you can hear someone breathing outside.
Oh my god.
That's such a scary. It's like I don't even know. It's very unsettling. And then my final note, uh, kind of all over the place, but I don't remember that lady's name. Oh, Joni. When she talks about her fake ass grandson, uh, Louis, like Lucifer. I didn't even
Yep.
think about it.
The devil himself. So it looks like this is the only movie he's done. Oh, I know that's not true.
Wow. Oh,
There's a few ones, but I think the one that stands out is Hereditary. He did work. The second thing on his list is Red Dead Redemption 2. He was in the music
oh,
department.
all
So
right. I've never played the game, but I've heard nothing but good things.
I think he's mostly like a musician and he toured with people. Yeah, he's best known as a regular collaborator of indie rock acts, Arcade Fire, Bon Iver, and other people.
Bon Iver?
Isn't it Bon Iver?
I have no idea.
Who knows? All right, so that was your last note?
Yeah, that was my last note.
Okay, so I'm about to take us down a rabbit hole.
I knew you had a lot, so
And some of the stuff that you talked about is in kind of in my notes, but a little bit more expanded on. So, the first thing that I do want to talk about is what you talked about is the camera and how this movie has a huge theme of telling you exactly what it's going to do. Like, you know, and if you've watched Midsummer, that this is a thing that he does constantly. In the first frame of Midsummer, it's like I think it's the first frame. It's a entire drawing of basically what's going to happen in the movie. If you like pause it and look at everything, it shows you every single plot point that happens as soon as they get to that village. And so he's very big into like
laying
showing
it
you
all out.
exactly. Yeah, he shows you that, and so that's what I'm by saying all that. What I mean is that the camera, how it's acting within the first few minutes, it's showing you exactly what is going to happen in the future. So the fact that it pans over, like you said, and this shows that it's going into the miniature, and that, you know, the miniatures usually have like there's usually a wall taken out so you can see inside the entire thing. The camera panning in and showing you that you're not just looking at the dollhouse, you're looking at them. It's telling you that people are watching them. So like entities, people, whatever you want to call it, there's always something watching them, and we're the ones that are viewing them too, in a way, because like you said, you alluded to somebody being outside, you could see their breath and they're watching. And there's a frame too at the very end where all the cult naked people, they're all outside the house, uh, like looking at it. They're all facing
Yeah.
us. So there's always somebody watching them and making sure that they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Which That's one thing too. Well, I'll get into that a little bit later. But so back to the camera. If you look at a movie like the latest movie we watched was Honey Boy, it's more fluid and it kind of follows the characters. Like it usually will have a focal point of Otis or something, but this one, the way that it frames the family and the scenes that we watch, it is like a dollhouse, and
Mm-hmm.
it's showing the entire thing rather than just following one person. And so that's a very interesting tidbit. But yeah, and not just so the whole miniature theme, like the fact that the mom makes miniatures, that's not just a quirky little detail. That's really meticulously like crafted within her character. And just like if you look at their house as a dollhouse, one of the things that's kind of I have a little list of little hints. One of the little hints is within one of the scenes in Peter's classroom. There's a lot of it's so like hard to talk about this movie because like I have to talk about like so many different things. But just like there's different hidden stuff like visually in the movie, there's a lot of hidden dialogue. Like the first classroom scene, we're focused on Peter and how he's like not paying attention and how he's looking at that girl, but there's a lot of dialogue in the background telling you exactly what's happening and what's going to go on.
Yeah.
And one quote that I put on here is pawns in this hopeless, horrible machine. And that's basically this family.
Exactly.
If you take that miniature metaphor, they live in a dollhouse and they're the dolls. They're not really people, they're like vessels, like how a dollhouse you play with those like little miniatures and you're moving them around and you're staging them and you're putting them in like positions. You're the person that's controlling that. That's basically what the cult is doing with the family. They're the pawn.
The grandma and the demon.
Machine. Exactly.
Yeah.
The king and the queen. So they're basically what king and queen and the pawns. Oh my god, this is all going together. But yeah,
it's all a chessboard.
Right. And we'll get back to that a little bit later because, like I said, I have so many notes and they all connect to each other. So yeah. So just thinking about the dollhouse as like a metaphor for them being in a dollhouse. And that is like an interesting fact that I don't think I wrote down. But the way that he wanted to make this film, it was kind of impossible to have them film in a house because of all the scenes that he had. He wanted to be able to like take out a wall or move a certain room and so that it could be like staged a certain way. So they basically had to build that entire house on a like sound stage. So the house that we see is not really a real house.
That's very cool.
Okay, and so back to the funeral. So that's like one of the little hints that I put because if you watch that entire funeral scene, you never see the people's face. The people that are there, you never see their faces. They don't focus on them. They only focus on the family. And because we know now that that's the cult, or maybe you know that, I don't know, but the people that are in the funeral are the cult, and you never focus on them.
Yeah, the one guy who's standing there when he's like smiling.
That's the guy.
He's naked. He's the guy in the funeral that's like staring at Charlie when she's looking at her grandma. Okay. Yeah. That's crazy.
Another thing too is whenever the mom is comforting Charlie and she's like in her bed not really looking at her, the one thing that she says, and it kind of sounds like a throwaway line, but she says she wanted me to be a boy. And so that goes back there's so many threads, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but that kind of goes back into what Charlie's role, Peter's role, everybody's role was in this game, this horrible game that they're pawns in. They all play very specific roles, and that kind of gives you an example or a hint as to what her role is. And another thing too, when you go back to what I said about the dialogue, now I think I'm at the scene where Annie, which is the mom, she's at that like group therapy thing. And she's basically just giving like a whole rundown of her fucked up family and that her dad starved to death and that her brother hanged himself in his mom's room because he said that she was trying to put people in him. And at first glance, when you don't know the whole picture, that sounds just like somebody that's schizophrenic. And she does say, and when she talks about her dad and she talks about her brother, you kind of have this idea of like, oh, she's probably, and she probably has a family that has like mental illness, and it is hereditary.
Yeah.
So that kind of just gives you an example of like what she's dealing with. But now that you know the whole picture and you see the movie, you know that what is happening to Peter right now was already what was already happening to the brother, and that the mom was trying to give Paimon a vessel that he wanted, which is a male vessel, and it didn't work out the first time. And that kind of also plays into why Annie had that sleepwalking dream where she wanted to burn them, because she subconsciously was trying to save them. And she also was trying to have a miscarriage, but it's not because she didn't want him, it's because she didn't want what in the back of her mind she knew what was going to happen, if that makes sense.
Her grandma or her mom was gonna take control.
Exactly. And that also goes back to her not wanting, like she said, I didn't want him to be around Peter, so I gave her my daughter, basically.
Yeah.
And that's why she got close with her, and then, all the shit that happens. And that was another hint that I put was Annie sleepwalking. So she kind of is, the sleepwalking bit to me is showing that she knows exactly what's happening. In the back of her mind, she's always known something's wrong, and she kind of just ignores it, and it all comes out whenever she's sleeping. Because if you think about it, all the epiphanies that she has is when she's sleeping. All of them, it's usually like some fucked up shit, except for the dad, the poor dad. And one thing that I learned about the dad while I was doing my research, and I didn't know before, was that he is a therapist.
Yeah, he's trying
Explains so
to talk to
much.
he's trying to talk to his coworker whenever he's like sending an email saying, "Hey, I think my wife's losing it. I don't know what to do."
And I don't know why I didn't connect this before, but yeah, like because my biggest thing about him was I don't understand how understanding he is. Like he's so nice, and he was so kind to her the entire time, and it felt like he was just so understanding for like no reason, but now it makes sense. And also I read that they had a storyline where it was known that she met him because she was his patient. But they didn't
Oh,
include that in the movie, which makes it all makes so much sense. But yeah,
I like that.
I know I wish they would have kept it, but I see why they did it. Okay, and so the next thing that I want to talk about is playing with the background. So there's a lot of parts in this movie where the director uses our minds to kind of unsettle us rather than doing a lot of jump scares, because in a lot of interviews that you see with him, he says that he doesn't really like the whole jump scare stuff, and he wants to, like, a lot of his references are about like Rosemary's Baby or what was another one, like The Exorcist. Like I don't think that one specifically, but the one that he would reference a lot was Rosemary's Baby. And so obviously a lot of his references are not modern, and I think Joe said this, but it does feel like a much older horror film. And I think he did that, he obviously did it on purpose, but one of the things that I really love about this movie was that he took a lot of new concepts and he married it with that old stuff, because I've never seen a movie that plays with darkness the way that he did. So specifically what I mean is that, like, when you're laying in bed and it's dark in your room and you're about to go to sleep, but you start to look around and you see like something hanging from your door and it looks like somebody's standing there, and you like freak out because you're like, what the fuck? And you turn on the light and it was just like a towel hanging a certain way.
That happened to me last night because I watched this movie. I was laying in my bed and I can, like, the way I lay it is like directly in front of my closet, and I was like, there's someone standing there right now. I guarantee it.
And
Exactly.
one of the goals that he had with this movie was that he wanted to like fuck people up in their mind. I think I saw an interview where Alex Wolff said, as like a joke, but I think he meant it, where he said that one time Ari told him, like, I have so much darkness inside of me that I want to give it to other people through this movie. And like he did that.
Yeah.
Because that is like one of the things I love about scary movies is when it introduces you to an idea that you would have never thought about, to just a new idea to scare you, basically. Because like we all do that. We all search in like dark places and our minds fill them up with whatever the fuck
Yeah.
whatever is the scariest thing we can think of, but he actually did that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's tons of examples. So like the first time is when Annie's in her workshop and she turns off the light and she sees her mom, but then she turns it on and she's fine, and she goes to her husband and she said, whoa. She says, I just scared myself in the workshop. That is basically what he's doing with us. He's just making us scare ourselves, because I think my favorite moment watching a movie was whenever, this movie gives me a lot of favorite moments in theaters, but one of them was that scene when Peter wakes up and his mom is like in the corner of his room,
Oh
because it
yeah.
was such a delayed reaction. Like people didn't realize we were like looking at him, and then people started to gasp or be like, "Oh my God." And you could see like everybody's eyes were like starting to move around the frame. And it's such a fucking genius way to scare people. And he does it so many times, like especially like the guy that we're talking about, the one that he's smiling at.
Yeah,
like,
he's in the very corner
doorway. And he's not well lit at all. Like you would think, like if another director was making this movie, they would have lit him a little bit, but he's like not. There's no lights on him at all.
The only thing is you can see his creepy
Smile.
smile.
That's
Yeah.
exactly, and it's so fucking perfect. Can you imagine walking through your home and seeing a naked man smiling at you?
Yeah.
How fucking scary is that?
And then when she's in the corner or the ceiling, and then he looks up and she's gone, but then she's in a different corner that time.
And she runs at him.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Just the way he uses space, and like then also too, it's not just that it's like, I can't even explain it. So like he sets up this whole like dollhouse framing, and you couldn't do that with any other framing. It would be too obvious. You couldn't make those like her being in the corner of the room. You couldn't do that naturally with any other kind of like shot.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so hard to talk about this movie in a linear like way, because it just like everything ties together so perfectly.
Yeah, you bring up one example, there's 50 others.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like when he goes up, because she runs after him, chases him into the attic.
Yeah.
There's naked cult members behind him, watching him.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So good. Okay. And then the next thing is going to be the acting and casting and how perfect it is. So everybody in this movie to me is perfect, but there's two people that stand out the most. And when I watched this movie, I could not stop thinking about them two specifically, and it's Toni Collette and Alex Wolff.
Mm-hmm.
So Toni Collette, she's basically in the entire movie. But the two scenes that I really loved from hers was the group scene where she's talking about her like history and nobody else is talking. It focuses on her and then it pans in really slowly while she's talking.
Mm-hmm.
That monologue was perfectly delivered. So that was the first moment that I knew this was a special movie. The second one was the car scene.
Mm.
So this scene is to me the most iconic scene I've ever seen. Do you know what I'm talking about?
When after she gets her head cut off?
The entire thing.
Oh, yeah, because like
that's when this fucking movie just turns.
Yeah.
And that singular experience of watching that one sequence is probably my favorite experience I've ever had in the theater.
I could see that because
it was truly shocking.
Utter shock.
I had no idea what the fuck was going to happen. Like, whenever I knew it was something was going to go wrong because they were speeding through and she was like hanging out the window, but I don't think I thought at once that that her head would fucking fall off. I had no idea. And when it happens, like, I think, like you said earlier, the reactions of like how they grieve is really realistic, because once you think about it, it is really fucked up that he just like kept driving and he went home and he went to bed. But like, what would you do?
Exactly.
And specifically, the moment that I knew this was a special movie, the group scene was a really great scene, but the exact moment that I knew I loved this movie and that I would watch it and talk about it for forever was after it happened, and it's just on Alex Wolff and his like reaction, and he's trying to ask if she's okay.
Yeah.
And he looks up at the like what's it called?
Rearview mirror.
Rearview mirror, and he tries to look at her, but he sees it and it quickly goes back. Like, that is such a perfect scene.
Yeah. The red lighting
Oh my
from
God.
the brakes.
How it just like, it's just is, his face is the frame for like such an uncomfortable amount of time. But I was so in it, man. I was like hooked into the movie at that point.
Yeah. It just adds so much to the shock that he feels. Like,
Yeah, because
that
like,
just happened.
I mean, he reacted the same way I would and the same way I did in the theaters. I think I gasped and then I was like, what is going on? Okay, and then the next scene, which is another scene stealer for Toni Collette, which is the dinner scene. The I am your mother scene.
The classic.
I love it. And I think I love the acting especially, but my favorite part of it is that there's this one, I forget what it is, but it's this one Instagram that has the script and it shows the scene at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's exactly how it's written.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure that happens all the time, but I was so like, when I was watching it, I was like, she has to like have added something, right? But it's like, it's scripted exactly how she says it.
She must have done that thousands of times.
But like her face whenever she's mad at him, it's so funny. Ugh, the yelling. That scene is perfect. That one is perfect. And then the last one that Alex Wolff is in is the classroom scene where he like basically beats himself up. Oh man.
That's such a scary face that he makes.
And I think he did it on purpose because he knows how to, I think he said he knows how to dislocate his jaw. And so he did it for the movie. And he said, one thing I learned was that he said that he wanted to do it. He told the director that he wanted to like slam his face on a real desk because he was like, I can break my nose, it'll be fine, I've done it before. And so the director was like, I'm sure that's illegal, so no, you can't do that. But once he did it, they were like, we'll give you a soft desk. And they did, but it was foam on top of a really hard like
Base.
like, yeah, base. And he said that after he did it, he had like a bunch of blood because it was like fake blood, but he also had real blood from his face and from his knee because he hit the like table so hard. Man.
Whoa.
And he said they were like, he said he did it like once or twice, and then after Ari was like, okay, we got it, and he was like, okay, I'll be back. He was like bruised up, he like dislocated his jaw, he was like beat the fuck up.
Wow.
But yeah.
In that one of those scenes in the classroom, they have I really like how they have the rearview mirror. The same exact thing happens.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's like, it's like in the classroom. I don't know. That was really cool to see.
There's also one transition that I think we talked about a lot when we first watched this movie, was whenever he was sitting in bed and then it like clicks over to him being in the classroom.
They do that a lot, where they change.
He does
from
that
night
a
to
lot
day.
in his movies, but yeah.
Yeah. That's perfect.
So good. Okay, and so the next thing is I really loved Millie Shapiro in this, but I mostly want to talk about the strangeness of Charlie herself And one thing that I learned when I was researching this, and I don't know why I didn't know this before, but she's weird and she's disconnected, but not because that's how she actually is. So I don't claim to know how demonic possession works, but basically, she's a vessel for Paimon. So she is Paimon. Like she's not just a regular child. That's why she like talks the way she does. That's why she cuts the heads off of pigeons. It's because she is a demon.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that he was like in her, but I didn't realize that he basically took over her entire character.
That's what they say at the end. Like,
yeah, but I thought that, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how it works. So I thought that she was still herself, but that he was like, I don't know. I don't know. But basically, that's why she was so weird, and that we never really get to meet Charlie.
Yeah.
Because, well, actually, we do. So if you think about the seance, if you go back to the second seance and she's screaming through like her mom's voice, I always thought that was weird because you can't picture the actual Charlie doing that. Like the way she was, even when she was like at the party and she had an allergic reaction, she never really screamed, or she never like seemed in distress until she got in the car, right? And so whenever she possessed Annie and she was like screaming, it was a weird voice, and it just sounded so different, and I was like, is that Charlie? Because it just was so like weird. And now that I'm thinking about it after, though, I think that was the real Charlie.
Yeah.
Because like once you take over a soul, it doesn't just like disappear, it has to go somewhere, right? So
that's sad.
That's why she's scared, because she doesn't know what's going on.
I'm scared. That's scary and sad.
Exactly. And like, I don't know. I battled between talking about what I really think the movie's about, because if you look in interviews, like it's so awkward to see interviews of people like talking about this movie with the director, because he clearly doesn't want to tell you what it's about. He's just like, oh, it's a family drama and it's like, it's scary, yeah, and people want to be like, oh, well, like, is it based on your family? But he like never wants to say it, which I don't blame him, because when you make a movie this dark, I wouldn't want to say it either. And also, like, are journalists just stupid enough not to know what he's trying to say? Like it's clear as day to me.
Yeah.
What he's trying to tell us. And like one of the themes, like to me, I don't want to say it's obvious, but like it's because it's called Hereditary, it's clearly not about like his family being possessed by demons. Like he probably has some sort of mental illness within his family that has like taken a huge toll on it. And so that's a scary part of like what, bringing back like to Horse Girl, how we were saying how she like the helplessness and how she is kind of destined to be a certain way. This movie is also that, right? So like Charlie and Peter, they're born into this world that they have no control over what happens to them. They have no control over like people with mental illness. I don't know if this happens all the time, but like you're predetermined to, maybe not your entire life, but you're predetermined to have a certain thing based off of your lineage. And this is a really like dramatic way of telling that, but yeah.
And that's the scariest thing about this movie is Charlie had no control. Like
Peter had no
Charlie.
control. Even Annie.
No
Annie passed it to them, and she was the parent. And so was God, what was his name? What was the dad's name?
Therapist, dude.
No well, control. Even the mom and the dad.
Oh, Steven.
They had no control over what was going to happen to them. So like,
scary.
Yeah. And the only way to have control is to end it, and that's why she wanted to end her marriage, her pregnancy. Like that sounds like such a dark way to do it, but that's how she felt, is that the only way she could save her kids from their like fate was to kill them. Which, I mean, not the best way to do it, but like that's what she thought. And we kind of talk about this a little bit later, but like I'll bring it up again. But so one thing that I do love about this movie too is the marketing of it. I think And specifically the trailer. If you watch the trailer now, which I haven't seen in a while, but if you watch it, I do remember Charlie being such a huge part of the trailer, and also like any of the marketing images. If you look at the poster, she's like the center of it. She's the focal point of it, but then she dies. I think I don't know the exact time, but it was like 40 minutes into the movie, and it's a 2-hour movie, and she dies. That is such a like brilliant way to mislead people into thinking that she's going to be such a huge part of the movie, and as soon as she dies, you're like, well, what the fuck is gonna happen now? I thought we were following her. Now she's fucking dead. Okay, and so all right, so the next thing I want to talk about is Joan. I love Joan. I love the way she talks. She's very like, she's such a cult member.
She is.
She's like the perfect cult member. I think I've seen her in another show where she's a cult member. And I think so. The thing about Joan was that if you watch the movie again, the whole point of her meeting Joan was to get to the seance, right? And they wanted to do it even before they put Joan in the picture. There's a frame where they put the seance pamphlet in their like mailbox or in their mail slot. That was like way before she ever meets Joan. And then all of a sudden this lady runs up to her car and she wants to like talk to her, and then she wants to be her friend, and she becomes friendly with her, and then all of a sudden she's been to a seance and she can talk to her dead grandson. So like such a
how did she not know?
Exactly. And I was reading a theory about the seance that I didn't know, but it makes a lot of sense, that it was basically a tool to kick everything off. Because it was a really clever way for them to trick Annie into thinking that she's saving her family, but all she's doing is kickstarting everything to like doom them, basically.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, because in the book that Annie reads, she sees that Payman needs someone who's just truly broken.
Yeah.
Who's so who's broken to the point where he can accept that vessel, and that's really what started it, because he was experiencing things that Charlie had felt. Like whenever he was getting high under those bleachers, he felt like his throat was, like he was feeling anxious. He felt like his throat was closing, just like how Charlie felt. I mean, beautiful.
He broke that entire family down.
Yeah.
And two, like if you talk about the logistics of a seance, the one thing that people tell you, the reason you shouldn't ever touch a Ouija board is because it invites things into your home. So I feel like because the grandmother had control of Charlie, she already, that vessel was already hers to use. She could do whatever she wanted. But the rest of the family was a different story. And so the fact that Annie, that's another like really sad part of this movie when I watched it this time, was that she's so dead set on her doing the seance as a way to like fix everything, right? She tells Peter like, don't tell your dad, he won't understand, but I have a way to fix this. And so that's so sad that she thinks like I said, she thinks she's saving them, but she's like inviting something terrible into her house. And she realizes it too, which is really sad. She realizes at the very end she sees her dead mother in her fucking attic, and she knows that something wrong happened. And that's another like sad layer on top of it, is first she thinks she's saving them, and then she's like, oh fuck, now something bad's happening, but she thinks it's her fault.
Yeah.
Oh, so sad. When it's not her, like it was passed down from her mother. It wasn't her fault at all.
And in one of the scenes where Peter's in school, in his is like it was the first scene where he's in class and he's like staring at the girl, and he gets that text where they're talking about some play or some story where the main character goes through this tragic thing, and he dies, and or something like that, and how the girl in front of him is like, well, it was so obvious. It's like it's painstakingly obvious that this is gonna happen to him because of all these things, and it's just exactly what the family went through. It's like it's so obvious to us now because we know the entire story
Well,
that they could have
also,
avoided everything if they didn't do that seance. Fanny didn't listen to Joni, you know.
well, that's perfect transition into one of my last notes is that there's literally writings on the wall. So
Yeah.
one of the things that hints at what's going to happen, there's so many things as like from the first shot of the movie, which is the tree house, which is where everything ends, and the last thing is the things that are written on Charlie's wall. And so there's three things that we see in different parts of the movie. The first one I think is a movie is a word called Satany.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it means. All I could see is that it's a word used in necromancy. So it's not a great word.
No.
But the next word is Zazas, which is a demon.
Yeah. I don't
And the
know
last
how I know
one
that.
the last one is I don't know how to say it. So Liftach Pandemonium. So obviously we know what pandemonium means, but Liftach is Hebrew, which I'm saying it's so wrong, so I'm so sorry, but it's Hebrew for open. So open chaos. And that word, the other ones I don't remember exactly when we see them, but that one is after the seance.
Oh. The
So that's
Satany,
when everything opens. Satany is very first.
yeah, is the first one whenever she's talking to Charlie about her grandma. She's
Yeah.
like staring and she's like, interesting. And then
And
she
then she
writes it.
writes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Which
one of the
how could
really
you see that? How could you see that and like not have any questions?
not look it up. Not
Why is Satany
I
written
don't
in
know.
my children, my
She's got a weird
child's?
ass kid. I don't know. She has pigeons on fucking dolls. I don't know. Okay. Um, and so my last note is just I don't know if you can tell from all my ramblings about this movie, but I fucking love this movie. Honestly, I think it's one of my favorite movies ever.
I could see
Yeah,
that.
it's getting up there. Yeah, it is because it is perfectly like if I was oh God, maybe I shouldn't say this. If I was to tell somebody to watch a movie to understand like my tastes,
Mm-hmm.
it would be this movie because and I was going to write down all the funny parts, but I was like, well, I don't know. I feel like they're funny to me and I don't want to be like I don't know. There was one part specifically where I was like, I don't know how you see this movie and not laugh, but whenever Annie's telling him about like her mom being in the attic and he's like she's like and there's other stuff too and he was like other than your dead mother's body or your
Yeah.
dead mother's headless body,
Yeah.
but there's such little stuff like it's funny, it's really fucking scary, but it's also like such a well-crafted story and everything is so purposeful. Like there's no I feel like sometimes in movies where I'm like, why was this scene here? Like there's no sense of that at all. Every single scene and every single part of this movie, from like the miniatures, the way that she like each one that we see, the writings on the wall, the drawings, every single thing has a purpose in this movie. And it's such a testament to the writing and directing and just like the entire film as a whole, and it's so well contained. It's just like I think it's the perfect movie. There's nothing I would change about it, and it's just fucking amazing.
And it's his first.
Well, yeah, and so it it's the first that he made. It wasn't the first that he wanted to make. Apparently, he wanted to make Midsummer first, but the way
Hmm.
that scheduling happened, he ended up making, and also he didn't, when he first sought out to make this movie, he didn't really want it to be a horror film. He sought out to make it a family drama. But then he started to see where like horror aspects could go into it.
Yeah.
But he said too that him and the crew and the cast mostly see it as a family drama, which I see that. Because if you think about it, I mean, it is just about like it is a family drama. It just is kind of scary.
Just a little.
Okay. Um So do you want to say your final thoughts before we go into what Joe thought?
I absolutely love this movie. It's a movie that I think about a lot, and a movie that still is scary. No matter how many times I watch it, it still creeps me out.
I will say when
I
she
think
ran out of that corner, I jumped.
yeah, I think the funniest part for me is whenever Peter wakes up, and it's like right before that, and she like runs on the wall. I don't know
He
that.
moves and she's like,
Yeah, that's perfect. Um, yeah, that's really pretty much it. I think it's one of the greats.
it is so
But
good. As soon as I saw it, I knew, I was like, I told Sebastian, this is such a special movie and this is such a special filmmaker.
yeah,
I'm going to see everything that he makes.
for sure. I mean, we went to that Q&A, and
Mhm.
even those questions were dumb, but the movie is
They are.
yeah. But now let's cut to Joe. Um, we asked him what he felt about it, and here's what he has to say. And we're back with Joe. So tell us, Hereditary thoughts.
I think it's a good film. I mean, I don't think I watched it when it first came out in theaters. I think it already did its whole theatrical run before I watched it because, I mean, the trailer really put me off. It was something I was like, maybe I want to watch this in the peace of my own home than rather at a theater. So maybe it was in the theater for like 2 months, and then it came out on Prime like right after that, and that's when I watched it. I think I watched it with Jewel and all them. I think we watched it when we spent the night at her house for the first time. So
yeah.
Are you not typically like a fan of scary movies?
Oh no, I love them, but I really think like the trailer just put me off. And other podcasts that I listened to when this movie was coming out, they were talking about this movie, and it did get a lot of hype. Definitely saying like, oh, this is the scariest thing since The Exorcist and stuff like that. And I was just like, all right. But the trailer, I mean, it really put me off. And when I watched it, I was like, not what I was expecting, but pretty good movie. Pretty good scary movie, yeah.
So when you finally watched it, what was your reaction to it?
I mean, the movie is very unpredictable, I think. It's very different from your classic horror movies like Freddy or Jason, because it's very psychological, and it definitely takes more than one viewing to get used to it and to understand and see like the bigger picture around things. Took me, I think, like at least 3 tries to really understand what was going on. I mean, that was the same thing whenever I watched Midsummer too. I mean, I watched that I think 4 times in theater just to like wrap my whole mind around what was happening in that movie too.
Yeah.
So you saw Midsummer in theaters though?
Yes, because after watching Hereditary, I was like, okay, I can't wait this long. An Ari Aster movie. I'll go watch this midnight release, and absolutely loved it.
That's interesting. No, that's one thing that it was really interesting doing research about this movie, about the trailer. And I didn't remember. I know I had seen the trailer, I think only once. And then usually after trailers, I'll either watch them, or now I don't really watch them anymore. I'll do like my own research. So it was interesting to see that, like, people's reaction to it, where this isn't the first time I've seen that or like heard that people just didn't really like the trailer, or they thought it was kind of like too much like what's that one? The Omen, like where there's a creepy kid and they're like, they don't understand. I don't understand what's going on or what is happening with this. You know what I mean? Like people just don't really trailers are a really interesting thing in cinema right now, because I feel like a lot of people either don't want to watch them, or when they do, they take it as like that's exactly what the movie's going to be. And this was a really good lesson in the marketing versus the actual like movie itself, and how they work together, but how they're like so distinctly different. So it's interesting to hear that perspective.
I really try to not watch trailers anyway. I mean, I try to stay away, because I really think that they give away the biggest things. So even when I'm in the theater, like I my phone during the trailer with my AirPods in, just not paying attention. Because I'm like, okay, I know what movies are going to be coming out soon, and I'd rather not be given anything about it. If I want to go look it up, then I'll go look it up.
A24 though, I'll give them credit. They're really good at kind of bearing the lead with that, because I feel like we'll talk about it. I think I've already talked about it because this is in my notes. But the way that this trailer, it kind of like misled you, and it because Charlie is such a big part of the trailer, it's really shocking when she's suddenly not in the movie for like half of it. And the grandmother is also a big part of the trailer, and she's literally dead in the first like 2 minutes.
Very misleading.
I really loved that though, because once you get to that point, you'd have no idea what the fuck is going to go on, because you're like, well, the kid's gone, so like, what is happening? But I really love that.
What's really movie?
Yeah. And like that's what a scary movie or any movie should do, is it should surprise you, and it should like, you shouldn't know what's going to happen. And in a lot of scary movies specifically, you already know what's going to happen and how the arc is going to like go. But this one was very different, where it like on purpose, it felt like misled you and made you think it was going to go a certain way, when it totally like pulled the rug out from beneath you. And that's like my biggest fear, is not knowing what's going to happen. So it really played on that. Yeah. Do you have any like final thoughts about it? Like if you liked it, if you didn't, or if you just like what you left with the movie with?
I really liked the movie. I mean, I feel like I'm very divided in saying that I definitely liked Midsommar better. I don't know if it's just because my viewing experience, or because I just like, I got the deeper message in Midsommar better than Hereditary. But like, I was actually talking to someone on Twitter about it today, when they were like, oh, what's the main actress's name? Toni Collette.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's absolutely great in that movie. And then in my mind, I'm just like, I just thought Florence Pugh was just absolutely amazing in Midsommar, and just gave this jaw-dropping like performance with this mind-bending mushroom tea experience.
Yeah, I completely get that. Well, any plugs before anything you want to say? Last words?
If anybody has a letterbox, you can follow me on there. Let me get the name real quick. Spill the Beans 50.
That's a perfect name.
Spill the Beans
50. Yeah, that's perfect. All right.
Well, thank you for
thank
being
you
on.
for joining.
Thank you very much for letting me on. Loved it.
Of course. And we're back. Finally.
All right.
Thank you again, Joe, for your thoughts. Now you can go.
Now to some fun facts, and probably me rambling even more. All right, so Ari Aster wanted to go for scares that were emotionally justified rather than solely leaning on traditional jump scares.
Hell yeah.
I loved that fun fact because it's very true.
Was that on the Prime thing? How they give like little notes? Because I remember seeing that. No,
that was on IMDb, but they probably take it from IMDb.
Yeah.
But it is true. I mean, I always rant about jump scares, and I always rant about horror films in general. And I feel like that's why I love this movie so much, is because it honors what is so good about horror films, like how they make you feel and how they like play in a theater. It honors all of those, but it also makes stuff better. And it makes those like tropes better in so many different ways. Because he doesn't, I mean, he has jump scares. But like you said, or like IMDb said, they're all justified. They're not just like somebody walking into a room slowly and then somebody jumping out of a closet, like it's not just put there for the sake of being put there. Okay. Oh, this is my favorite one. So Ari Aster requested that Alex Wolff and Millie Shapiro, which play the siblings, go out to eat in character a few times while they were in Utah. They would sit for up to 3 hours in silence while Millie wouldn't speak, and Alex would try to get her to talk. And so I saw this in interviews too, where he would have them, like, he would give them tasks. So one of them was he would tell them to go to, like, I think it was Burger King, and he would have to get food for them, but in character. And how Charlie was, she like never said anything, and she always acted like she just did not want to be there. And so she did that same thing where he would try to like ask her, "Do you want a burger?" like while they're ordering in front of people, and she wouldn't say anything. And I think he also gave them a task where they had to go buy a sweatshirt or something, and she did the same thing where she wouldn't say anything. And that sounds silly, but when the actors talk about it in interviews, they said that it gave them a really good backstory, because if you think about like sibling dynamics, especially with that kind of dynamic, it gives you that annoyance where he's already, every time he goes into a scene, he's like, okay, well, she's not gonna fucking say anything. You know, like they give that feel of them already being familiar with each other and them having that dynamic already established. And one interesting thing too that Alex Wolff said was because of that, on top of him already having worked with the guy that played the dad, he'd already worked with him before, and so he was super familiar with him. But the three of them didn't know Toni Collette. And they met, like, I think they met only a few days before they started filming. So it really added to that aspect of her being kind of an outsider in their dynamic. And you
Yeah.
do see that a lot, especially after Charlie dies, where Peter and the dad are very, like, close, and the mom
Yeah.
is like not having it. Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of did that for this podcast because we play siblings.
Yeah, we had to go buy a sweatshirt. Anthony
And I
cried the whole
didn't.
time.
I cried and made I peed my pants every single time. I had to make a scene.
He screamed a lot. Yeah. We had to talk into mics the whole time too, even when they were not plugged in.
You had to go through your numbers.
You would write down numbers. I would have to read them out loud. And every time I got one wrong, you had to hit me. All right. So the composer, which was Colin Stetson, he found inspiration for the score through the sounds of, quote, water and animals while walking around in pitch black night.
That's so funny.
Oh God, I love that fun fact too. Oh, and I think I said this one already, but many of the cast and crew viewed the film as a family drama more than a horror movie.
Yeah.
I think helped them out a lot because, like I said before, like I don't really like watching horror films now because a lot of them that come out are like those really predictable, tropey kind of like horror films. But I think them framing it in their mind as a family drama rather than a horror really helped them not fall into that trap of like doing the like really predictable things that a horror film would do.
Yeah.
Oh, and this goes into one interview that I watched. Toni Collette called Ari Aster one of the most prepared directors that she's ever worked with. And one of the reasons why is probably because he designed a 75-page shot list for the cinematography before they even had locations scouted.
That's
So
awesome.
he knew exactly what the fuck he wanted to do. Another thing is that he wrote biographies for each character, like really detailed ones, even before starting the screenplay.
That's awesome.
Which, man, I could never. um, okay, my last one is about Alex Wolff. So he decided to go method for this film instead of being, so he decided to go method. So he insisted on being referred to as Peter during the production. And after they filmed their very last scene, he symbolically introduced himself to the crew as Alex.
What the?
Which I love, but also like,
That's annoying.
yeah.
Guys, nice to meet you. My name is Alex. Peter is now dead. What?
Imagine him like, just like symbolically asking like he's taking off a mask, like reaching right here. Yeah. taking off
Well,
his like costume.
no, no. What if instead of introducing himself as Peter, he introduced himself as Payman?
And every time somebody greets him, they're like, "Hail Paimon, hail Paimon." But yeah, that was my last fun fact about Such a Perfect Movie. I disagree with every single score that I read out loud in the beginning. They're all very low to me. I think I would give this one 100%. Certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'd say it's up there. It's definitely up there. Definitely not 80 whatever.
87, 7.3 out of 10 is disrespectful.
Disgusting.
It is disgusting.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully I did a good job of like explaining the movie. Hopefully nobody's confused about what happened. I don't know, it was kind of a weird, like, I didn't want to be like those videos that are like ending explained, because it's kind of, I like the interpretation of it. However you think it's about, if you think it's about a family struggling with mental illness, if you think it's about actual demons, like whatever you want, it's kind of up to you. It's not really it's up to the director to make it, but it's not really up to him to tell us what we feel about it and how we think it applies to our own lives. So
For sure.
And also, like, not judging people that watch those ending explain ones. You do you. If you don't, I that's my favorite part of a movie. I think a lot of people don't. I always have to like defend movies where people are like, yeah, but I had to look up what it meant, and I'm like, yeah, but that's not like a bad thing, because if you think about it, a movie is a piece of art, and you want to be able to interact with it, right? You want to be able to like have these discussions with people as to what they thought, or look it up and continue that discussion. Even if you're looking at an interview with the people in it or the people that made it, it's a one-sided like conversation, but it's still a conversation about the movie. So it doesn't really mean it's a bad movie or you had a bad experience if you have to look it up, or that you're dumb if you have to look up what happened, because nobody's gonna expect for you to know who Paimon is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a cult.
Which, shout it out.
Then I would expect
Let us
nothing
know.
less. Well, that was Hereditary.
Go to a gathering? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Can I
invite
have one
Livia,
of those
not me.
necklaces? Oh, I want one of those mats that she made for people with their names on them. Dude, I want one so bad. I'm gonna tell Mom.
That'd be really funny. The symbol too?
Yeah, do it up. I want one.
All right. I always forget at the beginning of episodes to say that we pick movies,
Oh, yeah.
because people who don't listen are just like, all right. But now it's
You want me to
time.
explain it? What we do?
Sure. I mean,
Okay.
at this point, yeah.
Okay, so we don't just randomly talk about movies. We pick them each week. We kind of have like, I call it a movie club, where throughout the episode we'll talk about a specific movie, and then at the end of it, if you get all the way to the end, we'll tell you what movie we're going to be talking about next episode. So you have to listen to the entire thing. You can't skip. We don't enable the skip. No, I'm kidding. What if you could do that? What if you could like disable the skip function on Spotify?
You have to listen to all of it. That'd
Yeah.
be so annoying. Or like
Would
you
be
have
so
to listen chronologically.
Ooh.
I wouldn't want that though.
No, I wouldn't either. Well, anyways. Yeah. So this is the part where Anthony tells us, last we switch picks too. So like I picked this one, obviously, since I talked probably 50 of the minutes that we have in this episode. And then Anthony's gonna pick the next one. So
Yeah.
what are we watching?
I'm so excited
Oh god.
because, like I said, I've been doing Netflix party with my friends and they don't want to watch it, so I'm just gonna. Well, I like to use this podcast as an excuse to watch a new movie or an excuse to watch an old movie that I've really been wanting to watch. So this is that case where I've been wanting to watch this movie for a while.
I'm scared.
All right, so it's on Hulu, and we're gonna watch Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man. At a time where everything is uncertain, we need Tobey Maguire. So here's the real reason. I love Spider-Man. I mean, I've picked a Spider-Man movie before. I've picked a new one.
Oh,
Tried
yeah.
to pick an old one. Spider-Man to me is a very dear character to me because he's my favorite superhero. I relate to him the most. As a kid, I mean, who didn't?
Awkward, scrawny, weak.
Smart.
Keep going. Oh.
Smart.
At the end of the next podcast, you won't need your glasses anymore.
Yeah. I'll be buff. Yeah. But yeah, he's a very, very near and dear character to me, and I haven't seen that movie in a long time, and it's about time that I watch it. It'll be very nostalgic next episode, and I feel like we need that now.
There's one scene that I every time somebody talks about Spider-Man, there's one scene that is burned into my memory. It's the one where I think it's the second one or the first one, where the Green Goblin comes to their house and Aunt May's there and she's like, "Ooh."
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a good.
I'm gonna use that as the you know how I make a graphic for each. I'm gonna use that one.
Speaking of our social media, I feel like we need to be more active. We've been slacking.
Yeah, you're right. We have.
Especially on our Twitter. I've been trying to, on my personal, I've been tweeting a little bit more. I definitely could have saved that Rick Dalton tweet from Brother Sister Show. I don't know if you saw it.
No. Yeah, I did.
He's pointing at himself.
Yeah.
I could have saved that for ours, but I'm gonna try to start tweeting a little bit more.
Well, you're the tweeter. I'm not really good at Twitter.
You're the tweeter. Well, if you want to follow us on Instagram, and subsequently our Twitter, our Instagram is Brother Sister Show, and if you go to our bio, that's pretty much everything.
Links to everything.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want to do?
I don't know. Just tweets about movies. I don't know. I feel like the Rick Dalton, Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at himself is like a perfect tweet for a Brother Sister Show. But I was too eager with it. You know, I was like, this is. I came up with it, and I had to make it. But I don't know. We'll see. Let us know what you guys want. If you follow us, what do you want? Let us know.
I made a poll the other day. No, a quiz. It wasn't a poll.
Which one?
The sleepover one.
Oh.
That nobody answered. But it's okay. Maybe I'll ask more questions. I don't know. I'm that's what I've been like struggling to figure out is what to post, but
yeah.
That's my day job though, so I'll figure it out.
All right, guys, that's it for episode 22. Thank you again, Joe, for joining us.
Oh, and if you want to be on a next episode or one of our next episodes, you can also DM us.
Yes, DM us at Brother Sister Show on our Instagram. And if there's a movie that you want us to talk about, we still accept those. I know it's been a while since we picked one, but
it's been crazy.
I'll pick a movie that you guys want.
I'll throw a question up maybe tomorrow. Get some people to submit stuff. It's just hard because like I've been trying to do it like once a month maybe because it like the streaming availability is so like varied and stuff is taken off all the time and
yeah.
But we'll see. We'll be more active. We promise.
Yes. And if you got to this part of the podcast, this is going on to almost 2 hours. I think this might be
really.
Yeah, because this recording itself is 1:30, and our talk with Joe.
You can cut a lot of this out.
Nah, I think it's fine. Our talk with Joe is about 20 minutes, so it's getting there.
All right.
2 hours. I don't think we'll hit it, but eventually.
Let's just keep stalling. I'm kidding.
We'll just repeat our Instagram at 50 times until we get there. No, we won't do that. But thank you again for listening. Yeah. We'll see you guys next week at the same time.
Bye.
Bye.